Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. This is going to be my Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode 19 video, another big Age of Ultron crossover. There's also some news floating around ABC TV because they canceled Revenge, so Emily Van Camp is now free to do more Marvel stuff if she wants, or go somewhere else. I'll try to explain that. Even though there was the big crossover this week on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they'll probably still include some reference to Age of Ultron in next week's episode too. But this is probably the biggest crossover this week that we're going to get. Just careful for spoilers from the episode if you haven't seen it yet. Starting with top 5 moments. Number 5, Reyna's gift is starting to become a bit of a problem inside the Inhumans. The problem is that Reyna might start using it to try and create some influence inside their community. Create a cult-like following and try to influence their behavior. She got Skye to go rescue Lincoln, and even though she wasn't lying about her vision, her mother felt like she was manipulating Skye. I don't think Reyna was overtly trying to manipulate her. It's not like Reyna has a thing with Lincoln or anything. Like she wants him back just as bad as anyone else. I think it's more to the idea that Reyna feels like her gift gives her great power over other people again. Like she's regaining some of the status that she felt before her physical transformation. There was that Skye Sonic the Hedgehog joke. I thought your special power was collecting gold rings. That was kind of mean. I think things between Reyna and Skye are going to get worse before they get better. But there was a reason Skye's mom said that all decisions based on your gift need to go through me now. There's no way that Reyna's not going to misuse that gift. For now, I'm not thinking of her as a villain. She's kind of an antagonist, not really though, because she is informing them on where the scepter is. Like she sees the events of Age of Ultron. I see an army of metal men destroying everything. Moving on to number 4, Coulson and Gonzalez both play each other just a little bit. Coulson makes a bargain with Gonzalez to get into the Hydra base in exchange for Fury's toolbox. If you're confused as to why he was so willing to give him the toolbox at the end, I definitely think that Fury is coming back to get it at some point. Whether or not he actually comes back on the show, we have no idea. There are some things they mentioned in this episode that I feel are still kind of spoilery to talk about if you haven't seen Age of Ultron yet, so next week we can address them a little bit better. But I don't think Coulson would have given him the toolbox if Gonzalez was going to be able to hold it for a long time. Gonzalez's interest in the toolbox is purely as it relates to powered people. He wanted to get a couple on the base, now he's done that. The next logical step would be to start tracking down other powered people, like the Inhumans in the Afterlife place. Even though technically he's not a Sinister character, he probably wants to find them just as bad as Hydra does. Hydra is the one that wants to experiment on them. Moving on to number 3, bringing the old team back together. This is a lot of fun, like the season 1 team gets back together on the bus. The old team in the old place. I like the way during the briefing scene where Ward starts to just go on and on and on, Coulson finally says, no more talking from you at all. Fitz, Simmons, Skye, May are all like, yeah, we wish we would have shot you in the face. The whole subplot with Simmons in the episode was awesome. I love seeing her go super dark. If you were wondering whether or not Bakshi was really brainwashed or if he was just pretending, it's a moot point now because he got vaporized. And does anyone else think that because of that final confrontation between Ward and Simmons where he's like, I'm disappointed in you, where he just kind of throws it in her face, do you think that that's going to drive her to do something even darker? There's only a couple places a character would logically go from that. One, they get super pissed and try something even crazier, or they would start hating themselves for failing. Simmons failed her promise. That's what she meant when she said, I made you a promise, that she would kill him. Since I don't see Brett Dalton leaving the show anytime soon, they're just going to leave that hanging in the air. I did really like Skye's fight scene. It seemed like they shot it in a single take, like the camera just kept moving around her. There weren't any cuts in it. Logically, if this were a movie, you would see her using her powers more. It just, they didn't want to waste too much of the budget. What I was kind of hoping to see from her is using her abilities to enhance like punches and kicks. Logically, as her abilities evolve, she'll be able to fine-tune her movements like that. Right now, it's more like a blunt force instrument. Moving on to number 2, Ward plants Agent 33 inside S.H.I.E.L.D. They did have that big scene at the end where he was explaining to Coulson, I thought that I could help her, I can't, I'm not a good enough man for that. Raise your hand if you think he was lying through his teeth. She is in there for a reason. There's only a couple episodes left, so we're not going to have to wait too long to find out what it is. They could be after information, they could be after the toolbox, they could be after something else. And finally, my number 1 WTF moment, Age of Ultron crossover. Maria Hill's cameo and the idea of the Scepter, Theta Protocol calling the Avengers in, that's probably as close as we'll get to an Age of Ultron crossover. They said that an Avenger would be coming on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Maria Hill's an Avenger, so I don't think that we'll see any of the A-list Avengers, but it's totally possible that one of them could come on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. before the finale. So it turns out that Coulson's real reason for infiltrating the Hydra base, Dr. List's base, was to find out where the Scepter is. He gave the information to Maria Hill, who then relayed it to the Avengers. So in the timeline of events, this episode takes place before the opening scene of Age of Ultron. Just in case you haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to talk about how that figures into the movie. Just go see it this week. You'll totally understand Sokovia, Scepter, Baron von Strucker. Theta Protocol is just the mission to call the Avengers in to go get the Scepter. That's what Coulson meant when he said time to bring in the Avengers. He wasn't talking about S.H.I.E.L.D., he was talking about Age of Ultron. He was talking about the movie. Dr. List also did mention the test subjects in Sokovia. He was talking about Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. He was like, I hope that more people survive the treatment. And he was talking about Deathlock and Lincoln. And their cells actually did look like Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch's cells in Winter Soldier, as if like the Hydra bases were almost identical. But here's my big question for you guys. How did you feel about the Age of Ultron crossover? Were you hoping to see an A-list Avenger, or do you think that they're still going to do that before the end of the season? I'm a big Kobe Smulders fan. I'm totally down for them using more Maria Hill in the TV show and in the movies. The problem is with movies like, say, Captain America Civil War, is that they're already so bloated with big A-list actors that there's just not quite as much room for these secondary characters like Maria Hill. Sharon Carter's a good example of that too. So I said, they canceled Revenge, so Emily Van Camp is now free to come on the TV shows, be in any of the movies she wants. What's most likely going to happen is she'll probably just join another ABC TV series. She was the lead actress on an ABC series, on a major primetime series, so I don't see her stepping down her role and being a supporting character on a show that's already got way too many characters. Think about Mockingbird on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Adrienne Palicki, pretty big actress, not seen on screen a whole lot. If they brought Emily Van Camp on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., then they'd have to feature her even less. Bobby and Hunter are supposed to be leading the spin-off series, so if we do see Sharon Carter, she might show up on the spin-off series. Again, more than likely, Emily Van Camp will just have a small cameo in Captain America Civil War and then join another ABC series that has nothing to do with superheroes or Marvel. There's nothing contractually preventing her from, say, going on like a DC TV series. Like, she was worked with Greg Berlanti a lot in the past, and Greg Berlanti is like Mr. DC TV right now. He's got Supergirl, he's got the Arrowverse. Just to explain the legal situation behind the scenes. So when a Marvel film actor signs a contract, it's only for the Marvel films. There's no option for them to appear on the TV series because they get paid like a fraction of what they get paid to appear in the films. It's the opposite for the TV actors. The TV actors' contracts are way more restrictive. The standard Marvel TV contract does have an option for actors to appear in the films, but they don't get a lot of extra money, so it's not like they're going to get rich from appearing in the films. Marvel isn't noted for overpaying actors. The only exception is Robert Downey Jr. So if an actor like Emily Van Camp is still capable of leading her own TV series, and there isn't like a Marvel TV series that demands her as a lead, it's to her benefit to not sign a contract. Her character is actually a big part of Marvel's Civil War comic book, but if they do end up using her in the film, it'll probably be in a similar way to what they did in Winter Soldier, just as a support character, which is kind of a bummer. I know it gets really confusing when you start talking about the way Marvel treats its TV actors and its film actors. Joss Whedon actually did say some really interesting stuff about Phil Coulson inside the Avengers universe, inside the films. So what he said is that he feels like Coulson is still dead inside the movie universe. Even though everything's connected, he said that he was kind of disappointed because if Coulson's still alive, then it takes weight away from that death moment in the first Avengers film. If you can't kill anyone and you know that no one is going to die, then there are no stakes. He said that was a big problem in Age of Ultron, like raising the stakes, but knowing that he wouldn't be able to kill certain people. If you have seen the film, please use spoiler tags if you're going to talk about character non-deaths, character deaths, etc. For those that are asking, yes, I will do a spoilery review of Age of Ultron as soon as the movie comes out. That'll probably post like on Thursday or something like that. If you haven't seen it yet, I did do a non-spoilery review. You can click here to watch it. It's a great film. Make sure you go see it. You can also click here for all my other Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. videos. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.